Hello again, everyone. I'm Kate Vandeman.
And I'm Phil Righthouse.
In this segment, Fast Track's Rebecca Shalon sits down with this year's Miss Purdue.
And Brian Wolf joins us in the studio with the weather notes.
George Lucas, EA Sports, and the Supreme Court, and a special anniversary, all on this week's Tech Minute.
Big news out of Skywalker Ranch this week. MTV found out through actress Rose Byrne that the crew at Skywalker Ranch are never wants to take a break. George Lucas and his team have begun casting for a live-action Star Wars series to take place in between episodes 3 and 4. While the series was originally set to debut later this year, current estimates say the show won't be premiering until next year at the earliest. Lucas is keeping a tight lip on characters for the show, but most familiar faces are likely to be absent. However, a certain notorious bounty hunter is rumored to be a part of the upcoming series. A Supreme Court case between the NFL's New Orleans Saints and clothing designer American Eagle could have a major impact on the sports gaming industry. American Eagle produced hats with NFL logos up until 2001, when the league signed an exclusive contract with Reebok. Should the court side with American Eagle, developers EA Sports and Take-Two Interactive could be found in violation of antitrust statutes as well. EA signed the NFL to an exclusive deal for the Madden series in 2005, while Take-Two has third-party rights for Major League Baseball. This means that they would lose these exclusive deals, allowing for the return of acclaimed series like MVP Baseball and 2K Football. And finally, the telephone has come a long way in its development, to the point where phone is no longer an adequate description of our mobile devices. But it all had to start somewhere. Enter Alexander Graham Bell, the man credited with the telephone's inception. March 10th marks the 133rd anniversary of Graham's inaugural call to his assistant, Thomas Watson. The short line, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you," was the start of a revolution that would change communication forever. I'm Kyle Bloyd, that's the news, and now you know.
Brian Wolf is joining us now with part 2 of his severe weather series.
Brian, last time you talked to us about hail formation and thunderstorms. What are you going to talk about this week?
Well, Phil and Kate, we're going to talk about tornadoes and how they form, but to fully understand where they come from, we first need to start with the definition of one. What we're looking at right now is just a regular, everyday image that we see across the United States and across the world of just a real-life tornado. But that begs the question, what really is the definition of a tornado? Well, it is a violently rotating column of air that extends between and comes in contact with a cloud and the surface of the earth. But then we have to ask ourselves, well, how do tornadoes really form inside of thunderstorms? Well, how that happens is you get weak winds that form along the ground, and then you get some stronger winds that form higher up in the atmosphere. Now, what that does is that creates this horizontal column of rotating air. Now, as a thunderstorm starts to develop and mature, you see a very strong updraft form, and what that does is it lifts that horizontally rotating column of air, and if we see a strong enough downdraft, it will actually drop it all the way to the ground, thus forming a tornado. But once we know how a tornado forms in our atmosphere, how do you find a tornado if you're looking at a radar image? Well, here we've got a Doppler radar image, and you can see we've got this hook echo on the southwest side of this thunderstorm. Now, this is a classic image for a tornado. You can see right where my finger's at. That's where the tornado is located. But look to the area just to the southwest. This area down here, that's actually where we're picking up a debris field from a tornado. So this thunderstorm would be prompting a tornado warning, and we would have to keep a close eye out. But what if for some reason we see thunderstorms on a radar that doesn't really have that hook echo? Well, you can see this thunderstorm cell here doesn't really have that hook on the southwest side, so we turn to another map that we call the storm relative winds, or the relative motion inside the thunderstorm. The green areas are winds that are coming into the storm, and the red areas are winds that are blowing out of the storm. Now, the areas that you see, the green and the red, the brightest, that's areas that we see high vorticity numbers and high amounts of wind shear, which would tell us as meteorologists and also meteorologists at the National Weather Service, hey, this part of the thunderstorm we need to watch out for, even though there's not a clear-cut signal that there is a tornado. And then also we've got radar images that we normally see that are moving in motion. Well, here's this thunderstorm cell. Watch this middle one here as it resets. Watch it form that hook echo on that southwest side as it moves off to the northeast. That's what we watch as meteorologists to really clue us off as to what thunderstorms we need to be especially watching with a careful eye. Now, we do have a scale that we do classify tornadoes according to their intensity. It's called the Enhanced Fujita Scale. You can see some of these numbers here. An EF3 tornado has winds of 136 to 165 miles per hour. That'll do it for this week's Weather Notes. I'm Brian Wolf in the Weather Center. We'll toss it back to Kate and Phil in the studio.
If you are a single female between 17 and 24 years of age, then you may want to consider entering the Miss Purdue University Scholarship Pageant. Fast Track's Rebecca Shalon caught up with this year's winner.
On March 1st, 8 hopefuls got together here at Lowe Playhouse to vie for the crown of Miss Purdue University. I got together with the winner, Jacqueline Talbot, to see what it was all about.
I entered Miss Purdue, because it's always been my dream to become Miss Indiana, and there's no other place than Purdue University that I'd rather represent on my journey there.
The Miss Purdue pageant consists of 5 phases of competition, which are an onstage question, a 90-second talent show performed on stage such as dancing, acting, or even singing. There is also an interview in front of a panel of judges. Then there's a traditional catwalk showing of evening wear, and of course the ever-popular swimwear.
The most challenging part was definitely the interview, because you're in a panel of 5 judges who can ask you anything they want, and they have the right to challenge your opinion at any time, so definitely the interview.
As well as being crowned Miss Purdue, Jacqueline walks away with a $1,000 scholarship and the chance to be Miss Indiana. Reporting for Fast Track, I'm Rebecca Shalon.
Rock, research, and basketball. Everything a Boilermaker needs for a good time.
Stephen George has all the latest events in this week's edition of the Community Calendar.
The next research seminar is being held on March 27th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. in Beering Hall, room 1255. The topic for this seminar will be project-based learning, student learning and misconception in an electrical engineering course. These seminars are free and open to everyone. Purdue Convocations presents the Nityagram Dance Ensemble. This event blends the classical dance forms of India with the contemporary dance concepts. It will be held March 27th from 8 to 10 p.m. at the Lowe Playhouse. For tickets, call 494-3933. Purdue Musical Organization brings you the annual event Phenomena. This is a free student-produced rock show put on by the students of the Purdue Varsity Glee Club and the Purduettes. It begins March 28th at 7:30 p.m. in the Elliott Hall of Music. The 27th National Rube Goldberg Machine Contest continues on March 28th at 10:30 in the Purdue Armory. The competition will have the college teams find ways to replace a light bulb with a more energy-efficient light-emitting design. The event is free and open to the public. For those of you that want to fine-tune your basic Spanish, you can actually go to have some conversational sessions in friendly group atmosphere. Go ahead and visit the Latino Cultural Center on 600 North Russell Street. Conversation sessions are every Wednesday up until April 22nd at 6 p.m. The Black Cultural Center's new directional players will be performing the spring semester's production, and this will be held in the BCC Multipurpose Room 1. The production will be on March 27th at 7 p.m. And the Big Ten Men's Basketball Tournament is going on now. For those of you interested in seeing a few games, single session tickets range from $30 to $75 depending on the session and seat location. You can purchase these at the Conseco Fieldhouse or through Ticketmaster. Go Boilers! Well, that's all the community calendar I have for you today. Now back to the studio.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you tonight.
Be sure to check out Fast Track's new Facebook page for behind-the-scenes photos and updates. Good night.